Hello, hello, okay. Good morning, everyone. Some of you are asking what to do in order to get the translation system. We're working on it. In the next few minutes, we will let you know what to do. Good. Buenos días. Algunos se están preguntando cómo vamos a hacer para el sistema de la traducción. Ya se está resolviendo. En unos minutos lo vamos a informar. ¿Qué te digo, Gabriel?
Que apenas todavía no la tiene, pero van a mandar.
Pero eso va en la mañana. Eso va en la mañana. Si no la tiene, se hace su presentación.
And it is really an honor and a privilege to be here today accompanying all of you, as well as the World Archery President, Mr. Greg Easton. En primer lugar, presentarme. Mi nombre es Raúl Calín, secretario general de World Archery, y es para mí un placer y un honor acompañarles hoy en esta Asamblea General, acompañado por el presidente de World Archery, el señor Greg Easton. I am here only in this moment to explain you the procedures to get the automatic translations through the system Wordly. Estoy aquí solamente para explicarles muy brevemente cómo se va a traducir la asamblea a través del sistema de Wordly. In your folders, the folders that you have received today on your tables, you have at the first page has a QR code with a W in the middle. En las carpetas que han recibido hoy en sus mesas deben tener todos una primera hoja que tiene un código QR con una W en el centro. And for getting the automatic translation, English to Spanish, Spanish to English, but as well as you have other persons maybe speaking in Portuguese or in Dutch, you have only to scan the QR code. Automatically will appear a code on the platform of the app, and then you just need to accept. En el momento en que ustedes escaneen el código QR, la aplicación se va a descargar si no la tienen ya descargada en sus teléfonos. Ese código QR va a poner un código en las pantallas, simplemente aceptando van a poder entrar en la plataforma. And then as people is speaking, in a few seconds you will see how the system is detecting the language and automatically we will translate into your language by default. En el momento en que ustedes empiecen a escuchar a través de la aplicación detectará cuál es el idioma de la persona que está hablando y en unos segundos verán cómo se traduce al idioma que ustedes hayan solicitado. If you have any questions, I would recommend please you raise your hand and maybe Lorena, if you don't mind, you help them, assisting them whenever they need it. So you can see at the bottom of the room, Mrs. Lorena Milner, she may be able to assist. Si alguno de ustedes tiene alguna duda en el procedimiento durante la asamblea, por favor levanten la mano y mi compañera Lorena Mirler, que se sienta al final de la sala, podrá ayudarles. That's all from my side. Sergio, thank you very much. Eso es todo de mi parte. Muchas gracias y buena asamblea.
Well, I think now we are ready to start the 2026 World Archery Americas General Assembly. I would like to know, quiero preguntar, los que entienden solo en español, ¿están escuchando bien? ¿Están recibiendo lo que estamos diciendo? Okay. I'm going to speak slowly so that the system has time to translate and you can read or listen to the speeches, the presentations in the other language. So all of you have received all the documents, all the information has been posted on our website. So hopefully you have all read everything. The first thing we're going to do is start by a roll call. And we're going to do it in a very modern way. So I'm not going to be calling out countries. We're going to do it using your electronic devices, the ones that you got. And I think I'm standing somewhere where you can't see, but you can look at that screen there. So what you will do is, once the flags are posted, the system will show something for you to say that you're present. Okay. Okay, there you are. Remember, if you have a proxy, you have to use the two devices. Si tienen el proxy, tienen que usar los dos aparaticos para poder confirmar la asistencia. Yeah, this is a very quick way of making a roll call. It works a lot better at the World Archery Congresses where there are close to 200 countries, but here it's good. Thank you, Mateo. So all the countries are present, and there you can see a summary of the countries in attendance. So we have 25 member associations with delegates here, plus 7 countries with a proxy at this point. So the total number of votes at this moment is 84. You know that we're using a system in which some countries, you know, have more votes than others. I would like to now invite the World Archery Americas President, Maria Emma Gaviria, to speak to you at this moment. Maria Emma.
Buenos días para todos. Bienvenidos a la Asamblea de World Archery Américas. Estamos muy contentos de verlos y quiero decirle que es muy motivante para el trabajo que realizamos contar con 25 federaciones de América presentes. Muchas gracias. Yo quiero hacer una presentación especial de nuestro presidente de World Archery Américas, el señor Greyston. Primera vez que un presidente de World Archery nos acompaña en la asamblea y señor Easton, es un honor para nosotros. Yo quisiera invitarlo amablemente a dirigirle unas palabras a nuestros delegados. Gracias.
Buenos días. Es un placer para mí como presidente de World Archery darles las bienvenidas aquí en Tlaxcala, México. Y eso es todo mi español por ahora. I'd like to thank our hosts, World Archery Colombia and World Archery Americas. Maria Emma, thank you so much for this event that you organize for us. It's, we even have some pictures. We appreciate everything you do. I also know Maria Emma well as a friend and also as a colleague on the World Archery Board with me, so thank you, Maria Emma, for all your dedication over the years to World Archery, what you do for Colombia, what you do for the region here, and how you support me at World Archery, so thank you. In addition, Sergio was up here. Sergio, he's over here. We all know how hardworking Sergio is and how dedicated he is to archery, so I thank him also for helping to make this a great and productive event. And also you, our member associations and our delegates, thank you so much for attending, spending your time and your effort to come here. It's all very important. You are really the people doing, doing the work of archery out there with your teams in your countries, helping to develop and grow archery. World Archery cannot grow without your efforts, so thank you very much for what you do. I also wanted to thank some representatives we have, both from the local and federal government, Carolina and Danielle. I'm not sure where they're sitting, but there they are. Thank you very much for your support and attending our assembly here. And finally, Raul, you met Raul earlier. He's on the end down there. Our new Secretary General, I'm very happy for him to be here also and for you all to get a chance to meet him. And if you do have any problems with the translation or anything else, Lorena from my office is here supporting me and Raul and helping out where she can. So thank you, Lorena, for making the trip down. It's great for all of us to be together. This assembly allows us to continue to improve our communication, both formally like this, where you'll have some presentations, but also informally, when you meet together over the coffee break and can renew your friendships and improve your communications so that we can work together as a group. Together reminds me of my campaign, which was, I used the phrase, together and on point. And I continue to use it because I think in many situations for World Archery, it's important that we are together and on point on these things. It reminds me also of being here too, as I used during my campaign the arrow analogy, where in an arrow every part matters. Here, as you know, we all know, there's no extra parts on an arrow. You take one thing away, it won't work. It doesn't fly, it doesn't succeed. That's the same thing with everybody here. We all have a role in being here. As a delegate, as a member of the board, our support staff, I want to thank everybody for being here and playing your part in being that role. In this analogy, if you didn't see it before, the reason we're here is the athletes. They're what make this whole thing work, and we want to continue to support them as we do. The shaft is you, the member associations. I view you as a strong foundation that kind of makes it all come together and connects all of our parts. The fletching is our partners and other people that we work with, the IOC, ASOF, other organizations, even sponsors that help guide and direct us, even sometimes probably government officials who support us. So all that gives us some guidance. And finally, the knock that takes the power of that bow and puts it into the arrow and heads it off towards its goal is World Archery. So we're here to try to pull it all together and make good things happen. I've been World Archery President for over 10 months now. I've spent a lot of time listening, learning, meeting a lot of different people, understanding more the internal operations of World Archery. Things that are good, there are very many things that are good, some things that need and can use some improvement. They are good at taking selfies, so that's good to see that our teams can do that well. And also understanding that there's been, for you, I think you know many of it, but probably not all, but many changes have taken place at World Archery in those 10 months. I think they are all great changes, continue to move archery from a very good position to a better position, to do continual improvement. How can we make things better? World Archery will be and is becoming more dynamic, more streamlined. We've got some new people who are experts in their areas, focused on what they're doing. And we've really got something I learned early in my career: make sure you get the right person into the right job. And so we're trying to reorganize some of the structures there to make that happen. I believe we've made some very strong progress over these 10 months. Clearer roles for all of our employees. I believe better and improved governance, but I think even getting better and better over time. Is that right, Raul? Yes. Our governance, that's one of his areas, is to keep improving our governance at World Archery. And better service to our member associations and our athletes. I hope that's something you see at some of our events. We've gone to some efforts to welcome you better at the events so you know who's there from World Archery to serve you, and to really begin changing the culture into more of a customer service type of attitude. We're there to solve problems, find solutions, and make sure the events you attend are as successful as they can be for you. Also, I hope you see the same thing when you contact the office. If you send an email into World Archery or reach out to us in some way, my expectation is you're getting a prompt response. It may not always be the exact answer, but it's a complete answer and addresses your situation you've raised. So that's my expectation with my team there. I've also spent a lot of time in Lausanne and working with the office and the staff there, getting to know the staff, getting to understand our operations better. I've also spent a lot of time meeting different IF presidents. It's a great way to learn more about their sport, what they've changed over the years, how they've improved their sport, what they've done to continue to keep their sport key in the Olympic program. I met the Volleyball Federation president, had a great conversation with him, and one thing that stuck in my mind was we were talking about just the sport and all the things he had done with volleyball over the years, and he said an someone from the office came to his federation for a meeting, and they said, just by the way, I watched some of your competition. Why do you blow the whistle so much? It's like, whistle the balls in, whistle the balls out, whistle this, whistle, over and over again, and he didn't really understand, but he went back and watched some of their competitions and realized they blow the whistle all the time, and he stopped it. They blow the whistle now once. to start the play and they don't keep blowing it over and over again. Something that a different set of eyes, when you look at your sport, you see different stuff. So for us, being in it our whole lives, you don't see how the consumer that's not our core audience, but that extra consumer, everybody else we want consuming our sport, how they view it. So it was very interesting for me to think, if we do make some changes as we look forward in the future to keep our sport relevant, you need to have some eyes from outside, some people that look at the sport for the first time and say, why do you do that? I've also had some good meeting with and met the new IOC president, Kirsty Coventry. We have a couple things in common. One is she is the 10th president of the International Olympic Committee, and I'm the 10th president of World Archery, so that was fun to share with her. But before we got too much into the meeting, she said to me, before we start, I have a question for you. Are you the Easton from the Arrows and those companies? And I said, well, yes, I am. A little story about my grandfather and my dad and how the company came together. And she said, that's so great. My husband is going to be so excited I met you. Okay. They're both from Zimbabwe. He's a big hunter and a bow hunter and just was interested. So it's fun to have that connection with her. At the IOC and the Olympic movement, there is something, a big change happening. It's a program they've put together called Fit for the Future. They've abbreviated it F4F. Fit for a Future is a program that's to address a situation the IOC's had for many, many years. And that is, they didn't have a formal way for sports to come into the program or for sports to leave the Olympic program. What Fit for the Future is a much more structured way to do that. It has a lot of metrics tied to it. They're going to be looking at specifically Olympics, but sometimes World Championships, but television coverage, how much it's broadcast around the world, how many people are watching, the estimates on viewership. They'll be looking at digital engagement, how much, for example, World Archery's digital platform gets engaged with during the Olympics, what the youth think of your sport, doing some surveys with young people, and even things like your venue. How much does your venue cost? How complicated is it? And when it all boils down to what value your sport is adding to the Olympics, the Olympic program, and then when you really think about it, the Olympic product, which is the television broadcast. That's what the IOC is selling. That's where everything starts. It is a big change, and it made me think about change, and an analogy for World Archery would be an archer on a windy day. When there's a breeze happening, as we all know, that archer would change and adjust immediately. They don't think about it, they don't ask their coach, they just aim a little bit off to try to make the arrow go to the middle. That's the speed of change. It's something World Archery needs to be thinking about. How do we improve our speed of change, our ability to make changes to stay relevant? Because relevance matters. We need to pay attention to tradition and where we've come from, but we need to stay relevant. Archery needs to adapt also. We're very strong. We're strong in the Olympic program. We have a strong brand in the IOC and that community, but we need to be ready to adapt when we need to, and we cannot be passive and just sit on our past successes. We also need to protect what's important to us and preserve our traditions while staying relevant. Finally, I think this all can help us grow our sport, make it more compelling, and continue to make it more secure in the Olympic movement. These kind of changes need all of us, so all of the member associations to engage, cooperate, give us ideas, be involved with discussions we'll be having about things in the future. That'll be very important because we're all participants. We're not observers, we are participants and we're leaders, and I look forward to your contributions. These contributions will really be towards some changes on how we make changes is what we'll be working on. I want to thank everybody again, Mariema, and wish you all a very productive and successful Congress. Gracias a todos por estar aquí y les deseo mucho éxito en los campeonatos. So Thank you very much. Enjoy your Congress and stay together and on point. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to make a very little change in the order in the next couple of items in our agenda because we think it is more logical. Next, I'm going to introduce the scrutineers. This is, oh, sorry. Okay. These are the three scrutineers we are proposing. So these are the people who were supervised. The process of voting takes place according to our Constitution and correctly. I'd like to invite Andrea Aguilar, who is sitting in the back, and she is member of our Constitution and Rules Committee. Andrea, would you stand up so that they know who you are? Okay, good. And then Trina Roberts from Bermudas, who's sitting up here up front. And I try to pronounce the name correctly, Karim Said Abdul from Guyana also. So anyone against the three persons we are proposing for the scrutineering commission? No? So these are the people who are going to be helping us. So maybe after Matteo finishes his presentation in the next couple of minutes, you should go and talk to Matteo and see what he would like you to do. I take the opportunity to introduce Matteo, whom I think everybody knows. Matteo Pisani from Italy. He's over there. Matteo has been very kind to come and help us with voting at this assembly. So the next point before Matteo talks is about, sorry, I need to learn how to use this. Okay, good. It's about voting. So here we have all the national federations, all our associations, with the number of votes that they're allocated based on the system we approved last year. You will see that there's an asterisk in the case of Peru. We will deal with that in the next few minutes. But all the other countries, all of you received a list of the votes you were allocated, and only 2 countries reply back asking for an extra vote, but we'll talk about that later as well. So this is for your information. Now, I'd like to invite Matteo now. Matteo will be explaining to you how voting will take place. So let me see. Not yet. Okay. Matteo, please.
Thank you, Sergio.
You need to use this?
No, because I need the other screen. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm Matteo Pisani. I'm the head of technology of World Archery. I'm not used to be on a podium. Normally I do from down, so sorry. Everybody of you has a mobile. The one with the proxy has 2, because as Sergio was introducing you, you have weighted vote, so you have maybe in your hand 2 devices with 2 different voting power. When we start a votation, we have basically 3 types of votation or election today. We have a motion or a proposal, like for the event, where we will have only a simple majority. Your motion with constitution and rule majority 2/3, and then the election. What will happen? It will happen that Sergio will open the vote. We will have a question appearing on the screen and on your phone. You can choose as many options as the kind of voting we have support, and then submit your vote. I have prepared some test voting just to see what's happened. Let's see, just to stay at home. World Archery Continental Association. Do you think World Archery America is the best continental association? You see in this moment there is a question on the screen. At the moment we open the vote, the question appears on your device. You can decide to abstention or to vote yes or no. If you have any problem with the device, we have people on the venue that are there to help you, so just call them. We have a progression of the vote on the screen, so we can see what is happening. Please vote yes. So we test also the system, and you see that we understand how it works. Anybody with problems? So as I said, it's not mandatory to vote during the election, but now to test the system, I will kindly ask you all to cast a vote. I don't want to suggest which vote to cast, but okay, we are in World Archery American Congress. Any problem? Okay, we have the 100% of the vote casted, so we can close the vote. And then we can show the results, 3 abstentions, 0 no, and 81 yes. So I would say, yes, you are the best Continental Association. That was an easy one. Now let's try to go a little bit more complex. I make another test of what. Do you have any question, first of all, about what we just did? Any concern about it? No? Okay, so let's try a new question. This time I would like to try an election. It's true that we will have in the afternoon, but we will have some multiple choice selection during the event also this morning. So I would like to try this. And to try to take it a little bit out of the political part, which is the best member association, I went to hot drink. Which is your favorite of drink? Cappuccino before 10:30 a.m. I'm Italian, don't forget. Cappuccino the full day. Espresso, English tea, chocolate milk, yerba mate. You see that the system is telling you you will be able to vote two position available. That means that you can vote 2, 1, or none. Let's open the vote and have fun.
Dice Matteo che se no votan por el espresso, él se va. Matteo says that if you do not vote for the espresso, he will go.
Strike. Okay, we reached the 100% again. Thanks. We close the vote and we see if I'm changing my flight or not. But okay, cappuccino the full day. Sorry, that was almost a betrayal. Okay, jokes apart. This is the procedure. Is everything clear how it works? You want another test? Up to you. Sergio, to you the floor.
Thank you. Ahora sí, ya, okay, gracias. Thank you, Matteo. So it appears that you're all ready to start voting, that you know the system. In the next few minutes, we're going to start using it, for real voting. I would like to continue now by inviting the chairman of our Governance and Finance Oversight Committee, Ms. Alba Santos from Ecuador, to come and to explain to you something about the situation we had with one of our member associations and their proxy vote. Okay. This is the case of the Archery Association of Honduras. Alba will explain to you what happened with this vote now. Vamos, Alba.
Sí, porque... Gracias, muy buenos días con todos. ¿Sí me ven? Bien, estimados delegados a la Asamblea, en la tarde de ayer, 4 de los miembros del Comité de Supervisión Financiera y de Gobierno se reunieron para tratar el tema del voto proxy de la Federación Nacional de Tiro con Arco de Honduras. No se convocó a esta reunión a la señora Carolina Morales Espino de Guatemala para evitar un conflicto de intereses, porque el tema de la reunión involucra de alguna manera a la federación a la cual pertenece esta miembro de nuestro comité. El pasado día 12 de junio, dentro del plazo establecido por nuestros estatutos, nuestro secretario general recibió 2 formularios de voto proxy emitidos por la Federación Nacional de Tiro con Arco de Honduras. El primero en llegar está firmado por el señor José Moncada, secretario general de la Federación, otorgando el proxy a la Federación Nacional de Tiro con Arco de Guatemala, mientras que el segundo está firmado por el señor Cristian Gómez, presidente de la Federación, otorgando el proxy a la Federación Chilena de Tiro con Arco. Ambos, repito, fueron presentados dentro del marco de tiempo establecido por nuestros estatutos. Nuestro secretario general consultó el caso con el señor Raúl Calín, secretario general de World Archery, quien está atendiendo directamente un caso de gobernanza con Honduras y ha estudiado a los estatutos de la Federación Nacional de Tiro con Arco de este país. El señor Calín informó a nuestro secretario general que los estatutos de esta federación establecen que la representación internacional de la federación es una potestad del comité ejecutivo en su totalidad. A partir de esto, nuestro secretario general se comunicó por correo electrónico con todos los miembros de la junta directiva reconocida por World Archery y solicitó el jueves 18 de junio que la junta determinara cuál de los 2 proxies en conflicto se deseaba otorgar y que se nos comunicara hasta las 5 de la tarde del sábado 20 de junio. El viernes 19 de junio, nuestro secretario general recibió una carta del secretario general de la Federación de Honduras en la que se explica que 5 de los 7 miembros de la Junta Directiva han acordado que el proxy sea entregado a la Federación de Guatemala. En la carta se menciona que una persona de la Junta no votó y que el presidente, Cristian Gómez, votó en contra de esta decisión. 2 horas después, el señor Cristian Gómez respondió al correo enviado por el señor Moncada, argumentando su inconformidad con el proceso desarrollado por la Junta Directiva, pero no expresa en su correo desacuerdo con la decisión de otorgar el proxy a Guatemala. Todos los miembros de la Junta recibieron copia de todos los correos enviados. Nuestro comité, en uso de las facultades que le confiere el artículo 20.2 de nuestros estatutos, en el día de ayer analizó profundamente el caso y acordó. Primer punto, aceptar como válido el formulario de voto proxy emitido con el apoyo de 5 de los 7 miembros de la Junta Directiva de la Federación Nacional de Tiro con Arco de Honduras, en el que se otorga el proxy a la Federación Nacional de Tiro con Arco de Guatemala, a la asociación. Segundo punto, informar a la Asamblea para que la toma de nuestra decisión, que hemos considerado lo establecido por los estatutos de la Federación Nacional de Tiro con Arco de Honduras, en su artículo 20, y cito, son atribuciones y obligaciones del Comité Ejecutivo de la Federación Nacional de Tiro con Arco las siguientes: ejercer la representación de la Federación Nacional de Tiro con Arco ante los organismos nacionales y o internacionales, ya sea de carácter deportivo o de cualquier otra índole. En nuestra reunión del día de ayer participaron los señores Mary Emmons de Estados Unidos, María Isabel Vargas de Costa Rica, Luis Barria de Panamá y Alba Santos de Ecuador. El contenido de este comunicado deberá ser incluido en las actas de esta Asamblea General. Muchas gracias.
Bueno, muchas gracias. Thank you very much, Alba, for this. We thought it was important that this announcement should be made and that all delegates to the Assembly should be informed of what happened. We followed strictly what the Constitution of the Honduras Archery Federation states regarding international representation. And it's too bad that there was this conflict. That's why we called our Governance and Finance Oversight Committee to discuss the matter, and Alba has presented the results of their discussion yesterday. That is the reason why the Archery Association of Guatemala has the proxy that was sent by Honduras. Thank you, Alba, once again. Now we proceed with the next item. We have a request that we have received from one of our member associations. Is the Archery Federation of Peru. They sent us a letter, I believe it was 3-4 days ago, I think it was on the 18th. They had an issue with the visa of the 2 delegates they had registered for this assembly. One of the delegates is the lady coach who is from Venezuela, and she was not able to get the visa to travel to Mexico. And we had the same issue with the other delegate that Peru registered for the assembly. So they sent a letter asking the assembly to accept their proxy, though it was sent after the deadline, which was June the 12th. So they are asking that the fact that the visas were not issued should be considered by the assembly to allow a proxy to be used at this assembly, and they would like the Colombian Archery Federation to represent Peru here, but since it was submitted after the deadline, we need to vote, and the members, the delegates attending this assembly should decide whether we accept the request sent by Peru that their proxy can be used, though it was submitted after the deadline. So this is what we're going to do first regarding voting. So, ¿dónde está el controlcito ese? I lost it. Oh. No, oh. Maybe I left it there. Oh, thank you, Raul. Okay. So this is what we would like you to vote on now. Mateo, I'm sure you're going to show now the real, okay, thing. So now you're going to see on the screen, what you have to do is to answer yes or no, sí or no, if you accept that this proxy, though it was sent after the deadline, if the delegates accept that. And we need 50% plus 1 vote for the request to be accepted or not. I mean, depending on what you decide, okay? So we open the vote now. Someone has not voted. Is there anyone having trouble? ¿Alguien con problemas para votar? Oh, St. Vincent. I think he was voting somewhere else. Yeah, okay. So we're going to close the vote now. And here we have the results. We have 50, I can't see very well, is it? Yeah, 60 votes in favor, 21 against, and 3 votes, I can't see. Oh, abstention, yeah, thank you so much. I need to wear my other glasses to read that. I think I better look back. Okay, bueno, entonces como los delegados a la asamblea, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it in English. I promised I was going to speak English. Thank you, Mateo. Thank you so much. Okay. Now, the assembly delegates have decided that the vote from Peru will be accepted, the proxy. So now Colombia will be given, I think you already have, yeah, the flag and everything for Peru. Okay? No, pero yo lo tengo aquí ya. La tarjeta la tiene las muchachas de México. Yo le di la tarjeta para la votación. Do I have it? Sorry. I don't know. I think I kept it. Oh, it's here. I'm a magician. Okay, good. Sí. Okay, bueno, muchas gracias. Thank you so much. And now we can proceed. The next item in our agenda is the acceptance of the minutes of our 2024 General Assembly, which, as you remember, took place. Okay, so after this vote, we have 85 maximum. This is the number of votes, the maximum number of votes we can have is 85. So that means that for adoptions of motions, we will need to have 2/3 of the total number of votes, and that would mean 57 votes. And for other voting, we will need 50% plus 1, which means 43 votes. So let's move on. The next item in the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the 2024 General Assembly, which took place in Mexico. No, not in Mexico, in Medellin, in Colombia, 2 years ago. All the minutes were distributed. All of you had the opportunity to read them. They were in fact released 2-3 days after the assembly took place. So I think we're prepared to do that. I would ask, so that we can speed up the process, just a show of hands. If there's any member association against approving the minutes of the 2024 General Assembly, please raise your hand. No? So the minutes are now approved, and we can move on to the next item in the agenda. So the next item in the agenda is the first part of the Executive Committee report, which is going to be presented by our President, Maria Emma Gaviria. So, Maria Emma. Okay. Okay, good.
Estimados delegados en la Asamblea de Archery América y queridos amigos del tiro con arco panamericano. Le voy a hacer caso a Sergio Pon para hablar despacio y que pueda haber una buena traducción. En nombre del Comité Ejecutivo de Archery América les presento este informe de gestión con enorme satisfacción y mucho orgullo por los resultados alcanzados entre mayo de 2024 y mayo de 2026, fecha de nuestra última y esta asamblea. Desde nuestra Asamblea General hemos trabajado de manera permanente, comprometida y coordinada para fortalecer Archery América y sobre todo para acompañar el crecimiento de cada una de nuestras asociaciones miembros. Lo hicimos con una convicción muy sencilla: el desarrollo deportivo nunca se detiene. Durante este periodo avanzamos significativamente en gobernanza, educación, organización de eventos, programas de desarrollo y cooperación continental. Uno de nuestros mayores compromisos ha sido acompañar de cerca las asociaciones miembros, apoyándolos en la construcción de los planes estratégicos para que sean claros, medibles y sostenibles. Hoy podemos afirmar con orgullo que Archery América es una organización más sólida, más activa, más organizada y con mayor reconocimiento internacional. Actualmente contamos con 33 asociaciones y todas se encuentran a paz y salvo ante Archery. Esto demuestra compromiso institucional y estabilidad administrativa. Lo felicitamos y nos alegramos mucho por esto. Quiero destacar especialmente nuestra participación en el Congreso de Archery en Corea del Sur. Tuvimos de 33 asociaciones, tuvimos 18 federaciones presentes y 13 proces. América aumentó sus votos frente a la asamblea que tuvimos en Berlín. Este crecimiento demuestra que nuestro continente participa cada vez más y tiene una voz más fuerte dentro del movimiento mundial del tiro con arco. Nada de esto se puede lograr sin el apoyo, sin estar unidos. Por eso hablo siempre del trabajo en equipo. Gracias al Consejo de Archery América, a nuestras comisiones, a nuestros comités, a todos los dirigentes de las federaciones, a los arqueros, a los entrenadores, a los jueces. Hoy somos un solo equipo, un equipo que cree en América unida, activa y comprometida con el crecimiento de nuestro deporte. Hoy podemos resumir este periodo con algunos resultados. 33 asociaciones activas, 23 eventos que organizamos en América en 2 años, 40 seminarios virtuales, 35 reuniones de acompañamiento a las federaciones, mayores cupos que logramos para los Juegos Panamericanos de Lima 2027 y un cumplimiento del 83% de nuestro plan estratégico. Hoy somos también muy reconocidos por las organizaciones deportivas del continente como una confederación seria, atenta y cumplida. Nosotros somos los primeros en enviar los manuales técnicos de todos los eventos, pero lo importante es que estas organizaciones lo reconocen públicamente en las asambleas y levantando el manual de tiro con arco han dicho, primer manual que llega y el que quiera la muestra aquí lo tiene. Creo que eso para nosotros ha sido muy representativo y muy importante. Siempre estamos presentes en todas las convocatorias que nos hacen. Y si por algún motivo alguno de los directivos no puede asistir, siempre hemos encontrado compañeros de Archery América que nos han representado, como Tamara Jiménez de México, como Gabriel Romero de Cuba, como Gabriel Romero de México y como Luis de Panamá. Siempre estamos presentes en todas sus reuniones. Y estoy hablando de todas las organizaciones del ciclo olímpico, Panam Sport, Odevo, Odesur y Centro Caribe Sport. Los resultados alcanzados no son producto de la casualidad, son los resultados del trabajo constante, del compromiso y sobre todo de las personas que creen que el tiro con arco de América puede seguir creciendo. ¿Queda trabajo por hacer? Por supuesto, claro que sí, pero hoy, primero que todo, el desarrollo deportivo nunca termina, por eso el trabajo nunca termina, pero hoy podemos decir, con la tranquilidad del deber cumplido, que tenemos una confederación más fuerte, más unida y más preparada para el futuro. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias. Thank you very much, President Maria Emma. So the next item in our agenda is the presentation of our financial and, let me see, yeah. Our financial, I need to wear other glasses so I can see from here. Yeah, okay. So I will do it from here, so because if I stand there, maybe I will obstruct the view of the screen. Good. So I'd like to explain before I show you numbers how our finances work. We get most of our budget from Will Archery, though we also receive sometimes contributions from continental organizations like Pan Am Sports or the Americas Paralympic Committee for some of our projects. We also receive the affiliation fees from our two associate members, Martinique and Guadeloupe, who are not members of Will Archery. So this is basically what we get for funding to cover three main areas, which is administration, events, and projects. I will explain further now in the next couple of seconds. How do we operate? How do we organize our finances in terms of supervision? There's a company in Colombia, and it has to be in Colombia because that is where Will Archery is officially registered as a sports organization. And there's a company in Colombia that reviews all of our finances. They submit the financial balances at the end of every year, and every month they report to the Colombian government upon receipt of all of our documents, indicating for what purpose we used every single Colombian peso that we use. So the report that we get from this company indicates whether what we have done with the money is in compliance with our object. I mean, what we are expected to do as a sports organization, as an international sports organization, and that is always included in the report that they submit to our Finance and Governance Oversight Committee. So having said this, and we also report to Will Archery. So at the end of every year, we need to submit to Will Archery a report of our expenses in comparison to the money that we received from them. So this is the process that we use to sort of certify that we have used the money in correspondence to the goals of Will Archery America. So I'm going to show you now. No, I'm sorry. I'm going the other way. Okay. So this is the money that we used in 2025. The amounts are in Swiss francs, and you can see there that we have grouped the amounts in three areas: administration, events, and projects. And the reason we have these three areas here is because this is the way Will Archery requests us to submit the budget accomplishment to them. So in terms of administration, it's 20,871 Swiss francs. We use this to cover the expenses of this company that reviews our finances, also all the expenses in connection to running the office in Colombia. In the area of events, we have a smaller amount, close to 9,000 Swiss francs. But if you have read the report that we published, in that report you can find in detail every sub-area. I mean, what we mean by administration, what we mean by events, and regarding projects. Now, there's some money we did not use, and that was intentionally, because the money that we get from Will Archery comes always at the end of March of the following year, and we need to have some money to operate as a continental association in the first 3 months of the year. So this money is always left to be used to cover expenses in the first 3 months of our year. Now, for 2026, later you will see a comparison. The amounts are higher. We are here using also administration, events, and projects as the areas in which we have grouped the amounts requested. This is not what we have used. This is what we have requested, and we got approved by Will Archery. Now, here's a comparison. In terms of administration, you see an increase. Also, in terms of events, there's an increase, and in terms of projects, we also have an increase. and I will explain to you why. Why do we have an increase in 2026 in comparison to 2025? In the first place, the new thing for 2026 is this General Assembly. We are very grateful that the Mexican Federation, World Archery Mexico, has contributed financially to the execution of this assembly, but we also needed to fund part of it. That's why there's an increase in the budget requested for this year in comparison to the budget from 2025. In terms of events, maybe you know, but if you don't, I will explain that World Archery charges the organizing committees of world-ranking events and continental games a staging fee. And what World Archery does in terms of continental games is that they cover the fees for the continental games. In 2026, we're having 4 continental games. It's the South American Games, the Central American and Caribbean Games, the Para-South American Games, and the Para-Central American and Caribbean Games. So for these 4 games, World Archery allocates 1,500 Swiss francs. So we have more games this year than we had last year. That's why we have an increase in the amount that we have gotten approved by World Archery. And the last thing is the projects. This year we're having more projects being conducted. For example, the Iron Sales Seminar we just finished here with Mateo. The Technical Delegates Seminar we had in Colombia a couple of weeks ago. There will be a para-coaching seminar in Peru, which I will advertise later. So that is a reason why we have a larger amount for projects in 2026 than in 2025. So now I'm prepared to start reporting on our strategic development plan. We'll vote later all together, for the Assembly to accept or not our report, including what Maria Emma presented, the financial report, and this new report. Now, this is about how we have accomplished or how far we have gone so far in terms of the accomplishment of our goals in our strategic plan for 2025 through 2028. This is a partial assessment, which includes all we have done starting in January 25, but you will see also a couple of things from 2024, but these are things we did after the assembly we held in Colombia 2 years ago. So we sort of thought that it was important also to include this in this presentation. So our strategic plan has 6 important areas. These are our focus areas. I'm sure you're familiar with them because this plan was approved by all of you last year. There you have them all. I'm going to go into detail regarding these 6 focus areas in the next few minutes. Now, regarding governance, which is the first area of our plan, one thing we did, and we're now experiencing it in practice, is that we changed our constitution to include weighted votes. That is that some of our national federations are allocated more votes than others, but this is not just because we like these federations more than others. It is because these federations have worked harder and they have achieved results in very specific areas. This system of weighted votes is development-oriented. It is different from the one that they use in World Archery because one way you have to get an extra vote is if you have para-archery, which is one of our objectives. Another way is if you have youth athletes competing internationally. So if you don't have youth archeries competing internationally, we're sorry, but you don't get the second extra vote as such. And the fourth vote, you get it if you have a strategic plan approved by World Archery Americas. In the last few years, some federations have indicated, yes, we do have a plan. The federations uploaded the plans onto Warriors, but these plans were not reviewed by anybody. These plans did not have a goal, did not have a mission, did not have anything. And so we wanted to ensure that the federations do have a plan that is feasible, that has clear objectives, and for this reason, we approved last year this system of weighted votes. Now, the maximum number of votes as today is 132, which would be 33 national federations by 4. 4 votes is the maximum. So, out of 132 for this year, 94 votes were allocated, which means 71% of the total number of votes. Now, for 2028, our goal is to have 75. Now, at this assembly, we have 85 and not 94 because some of the federations that had 2 or 3 votes are not present, and when the vote is cast by proxy, then you lose the extra votes and then you keep only 1, okay? Now, as a result of this analysis of the weighted voting system, we have identified that there are 2 weaknesses in our confederation. One is para-archery, though we have advanced a lot, but we still have a lot to do, and youth participation. So we would like to encourage our national federations to continue working on youth programs. Now, next is gender equity. This is also about governance. And our goal for 2028 is to have 50% men, 50% women in our positions in World Archery Americas. What did we do? We expanded the number of members of our committees from 3 to 5, including 1 that is appointed. And that gives us a possibility of appointing women or people from maybe small federations so that we have more participation and universality. Let's compare now female participation or representation. In 2020, it was 33%. In 2024, 41%, and now in 2026, before this assembly, it was 45.4. Hopefully, at the end of this assembly, we're going to be able to say that the percentage is higher. Now, also regarding governance, I'd like to say, though all of you know it, that we created a commission, an advisory commission. 4 members of this commission are here, and I'd like to thank Mary Emmons from the United States, Alba Santos from Ecuador, Tirna Roberts from Bermuda, for the work they did in revising the strategic plans that most of you submitted. Thank you very much for the hard work. It was not only revising, it was just giving feedback to the national federations on what the problems were, and also suggesting things that they could do in order to improve their plans. Now, 28 of our 33 member associations had their plans approved. Our goal was to have 75% now, and we're happy to say that we were able to come up to 84.84% of the member associations with a plan. There are 5 member associations who did not submit their plans. One of them did submit it, but it was too ambitious. We returned it, but we never heard back from this federation with a new plan. Now, we gave various opportunities to all federations to send their plans, but unfortunately, we did not hear back from them. Now, what are the 2 very important steps that now we have coming up? Number 1 is implementation. It's not just having a plan, it's to be able to implement it. And it is the national federation, the member association, that has to get the plan started. Now, the second part, which is also very important, is the assessment. And in order to help our national federations assess the accomplishment of their plans, what we're going to do is we're going to have like webinars, meetings with national federations. We're going to have a governance, a governance seminar in Guyana during the CDC, where we're going to be discussing with our member associations how to assess their plans. Now, we made an inventory of the areas that the plans included, and these are the most recurrent ones. So our member associations would like to work, and they have set tasks and goals in these areas that you can see here. Of course, there were other areas, but these were the ones that were more recurrent, like coach and judge education, grassroots and youth development, etc., etc. I mean, I'm not going to read what you can read by yourselves. All right? Now, let's go now to the second area, which is membership services. One of the areas on which we focused in the last 2 years is the provision of online education programs. And in the last 2 years, we had 40 webinars in 2025, and so far, 17 webinars in 2026 on different areas, which you can read there. I mean, we tried as much as possible to cover all the important areas, so there are member associations would have like assistance, information that they could use to develop nationally. I'd like to thank all the experts who ran these webinars, which were all very interesting. Now, also about membership services, we set as a goal to be able to provide easier access to information on the website and the extranet, and I think we have accomplished this. Now it is much easier for you to access all the information on our website. Also, we had as a goal to have meetings with national federations in the 4-year period. So we wanted to have 2 every year at least, with all the national federations, and at least 2 per national federation in the 4-year period. And this is where we are now. We held 4 last year and 35 individual meetings with 22 member associations. If you want to know whether you're included, read the report that we published on our website, where we have the list of all the national federations, and we have when we met and what we discussed in every one of our meetings. Now, online national judges courses, we ran 2 to help our national federations. That was provide a service to our national federations. There you have the number of participants and the number of member associations that attended. And we have also offered our national federations to help them with their local seminars. And for example, Curaçao, we helped the federation in Curaçao with exams and with a program for their own national judges seminars. Now, let's go now into development. Development, we would like to first of all talk about coach and judge education, which are priorities. There you have, it's in Spanish and English, everything. So we wanted to have 85% at this point of our national federations with a coach or judge education program. 84.4 indicated that they have it, and we don't know if it is being implemented, but we would like to say here that World Archery America is prepared and willing to assist our national federations in the execution of these programs. Now, we have a priority region, and some of you may say, well, but why only the Caribbean? It is not only the Caribbean. It is because the Caribbean has the smaller federations in the number of members. Some of them are very new, and we have, in the last few years, prioritized the English-speaking Caribbean in many areas. One of the, I would say, the good things that we can be proud of in the Caribbean is the Caribbean Development Championships. Last year, in 2025, we held it in Trinidad and Tobago with 232 archers from 11 countries there. That was a great success. We would like to encourage all the other national federations to attend. Though the name reads Caribbean, it is not only for the Caribbean, it is for all of you. And later today, we're going to listen to the president of Archery Guyana, Vidushi Persad, who is here, and she will make a presentation on the organization of the 2026 CDC in Guyana. I look forward to listening to your presentation, Vidushi. So, we also have another event, and that was the idea of the president of the Federation of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, who's sitting in the back, Sanjay. And Sanjay has been organizing the Caribbean Development Archery League, which is conducted remotely. You don't have to travel, you don't have to go anywhere. And he has now also created the Caribbean, Premium? The Caribbean Premium Archery League. There you have the number of participants in the last 3 years. Now, in the Caribbean, in the English-speaking Caribbean, we have like 10 national federations. Now we have 11 with Suriname, though English is not their first language, but we consider them as part of the English-speaking Caribbean. I'd like to encourage the national federations, like for example, the US Virgin Islands or the British Virgin Islands and Curacao, to also become part of this event, because this is for you, okay? So let's go on. Now, about development, there you have a list of continental seminars. These are not the seminars that each national federation organizes because they wanted to bring someone to run a seminar at home. These are seminars that we, with Archery Americas, have helped organize and run, maybe by contacting the experts or by getting funding from different organizations like Olympic Solidarity through World Archery, or with Pan Am Sports, or the Americas Paralympic Committee. So I'm not going to read the list, but there you have the list of the different seminars we have conducted after the assembly in 2024. Now, also about development, there's a list of the training camps. So these training camps have been supported financially by important international organizations like World Archery and Olympic Solidarity, also Pan Am Sports and the Americas Paralympic Committee. Now, also on development, I want to talk about the relationship between quantity and quality. We have in our plan like a goal in terms of the number of national federations who have competed with adult archers, with a man and a woman in at least 2 events, and there is what we have at this point. This is a photograph of the situation at this moment. And there you can see that there are federations that have already complied, that have already met this goal. There you have the list of them. Those who have at least 2 events. Federations with only 1 event, there you have the list of them. And federations which have not competed internationally with a man and a woman in the last 2 years. And we are not including the CDC, the Caribbean Development Championship, because it has a different purpose. It is not an event that we organize focusing on important results. We don't even shoot at the official distances of World Archery. And of course not events for masters, because they also, I mean, it's not really what we are looking for here. So I'd like to encourage our national federations who are not in the first group to make an effort and try to do this. Now, this is quantity. I want to go now to discuss quality. In our plan, and the one we approved last year, we set goals in terms of the quality of the scores our archers shoot. And we established like scores like we called A or B or 1 or 2, and I prefer now to label them as our World Cup level scores and Continental Grand Prix level scores. Of course, Continental Grand Prix level scores are lower, but this is where we are now. And these scores are the ones we set last year at our assembly. So recurve men, 12 countries have shot 655. Now you will see on the right that recurve men for B scores is 15. Of course, we include the 12 on the left plus 3 more. So look for your countries there and see where you are. I think there are only 4 or 5 member associations which have score A for the 4 categories. This is the goal. This is where we want to get. If you go to a tournament and you shoot 500 points, but you still want to win a bronze medal because there was nobody else, people maybe in your countries will be happy, but this is not what you want to do. This is a goal, reaching these scores that we can see on the screen. And this is not something I made up last night. This is what we agreed to last year at our assembly, in June. Now, para-archery is the 4th area. The goal is to have 20 member associations with para-archery in the qualifiers for the Lima 2027 Para-Pan Am Games. and 22 of the qualifiers for the Los Angeles 2028 Paralympics. Now, what is the current situation? These are the countries that we are aware that they have at least one para-archer. Now, the Bahamas has an asterisk, and that is because though they do have one or two archers, the Bahamas have a problem. They don't have a national Paralympic committee. So the Bahamas cannot compete at the Pan American Games. They cannot compete at the Central American and Caribbean Games because there's no national Paralympic committee that may register their para-archers. So this is a task that Lisa, the president, has to try to solve at home. Now, also about para-archery, we have also discussed how we can achieve our goals. And one thing we have done, and I think it's been very successful, is improving our relationships with the America's Paralympic Committee. I have to say now that the relationships are excellent at this point, and we've been able to get funding from them to cover a number of different projects, and also we've been able to increase the number of participants in the Pan American Games. Also, we are present at the South American Games, and we're present at the Central American and Caribbean Games. Another area within para that we are focusing on is coach education, also classifier education, para training camps, para youth development, and I want to say that we had in Chile last year the Pan American Junior Games, which were very successful, and also the promotion of para archery is something that we have been working on. Now, next, this number 5 is partnership and sponsorship. Regarding partnership, as I said, we have full support of Will Archery for our projects. Most of the money we request from Will Archery is granted to us because we have shown results. We have shown that we have used the money wisely. And also we keep excellent working relationships with Pan Am Sports. I want to say that we received a letter from Pan Am Sports 2 days ago indicating that if we submit programs, they're going to give us this year an additional $20,000 for the promotion of the sport of archery and running developmental programs. This is very important. And for next year, they're going to give us $40,000 for programs, for development. This is excellent. Yes. And this is, I think, the result of what Maria Emma mentioned a few minutes ago, that we are the first confederation to submit the manuals. We are the first confederation to attend everything and to report back to them on their training camps. We never use one single dollar for anything that was not included in what they told us we could use it for. So we are, in the face of Pan Am Sports, a very serious continental organization. And regarding the America's Paralympic Committee, our relationships with IPC some years ago were not as good as our relationships are now with the America's Paralympic Committee. They have given us more spots for the Pan Am Games. Maybe you remember that in 2015 in Toronto we had only 8 countries and 28 archers. Then they took us out of the games. We came back in 2023 and we completed the 48 positions they gave us. And we had 18 countries. And now for 2027, we have an increase of 22 para-archers. So we're going to have 70 para-archers in Lima 2027. And we need your help because we meet with them and we say, yes, we have the archers. Yes, we have everything. And then when we look back, we worry, oh my God, do we have the 70? So, and that is when we need you to do your job, to look for, new para-archers who can compete at these games. So, let me see what else. Now, also about partnership and sponsorship, we have the section of equipment donations and special prizes from Hoyt and Easton, and thanks to the historical, let's say, assistance that Greg Easton as an individual and Easton and Hoyt as companies have given us. This is the amount of money we have used for donations, close to $30,000 in 2025, helping 14 member associations, and there you have those who were benefited. And in 2026, so far, we have used 18,000. So we still have another $11,000 for you. But the problem we have is that sometimes we need to call our national federations, do you need equipment? Because we have $10,000 and we don't know how to use them. So this is something I repeat at every assembly, and still, we find it hard to be able to use the $30,000. Anyway, so let's go on. And the last area, I think, is promotional activity. We have now very active platforms on our website, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. As you know, now we are transmitting this. We're broadcasting this assembly on our YouTube channel. So this is something also that we have worked on. So these are the 6 areas that I wanted to cover in this report. And I want to finish my presentation by asking this question. What is then World Archery Americas? Based on what you have heard. Well, we believe we are, and I think you would agree, that we are a continental association that abides by its constitution. Very important. If we are not serious about abiding by our constitution, we are nothing. We strongly believe in long-term strategic planning. I think all of you would agree to this. We focus on providing services to our members. Yes, we do. We are committed to fulfilling our goals. We value processes as the only means to achieve results. I mean, if we don't see it as a process and we only aim at the result and we believe that the results will come just out of the blue, we're lost. We need to plan, and planning means establishing processes, implementing them. And then we are loyal to our member associations. We are. And we believe in the power of effective communication. So this is the end of my presentation regarding the strategic plan. So I don't know if you have any questions, any comments that you would like to make before we ask you to vote for the approval of the reports. I mean, Maria Emma's, then finances, and what I have just said. Anyone? No? Good. So thank you. And I would like now to ask if the delegates to the Assembly are in favor of approving these reports. Anyone against? These are, I think, simple voting, so I'm not going to bother Mateo with that. Okay? No? So then if there's no one against, so our reports have been approved. Thank you for listening, and let's see what comes next. Thank you. Next point in the agenda is the approval of the reports submitted by our permanent committees, which were published about 45 days ago. Is there anyone who has a comment or anything you would like to ask about the reports that were published? No? So they were, I think most of them were written in English and in Spanish, so language was not an issue here. So if there's no one, if there are no questions, is there anyone against approving all the reports as a package? Anyone against? No? Okay, so we have approved all the reports as a package. What time is it? 9:53. Oh, we are okay with time. Yeah, so I'd like to invite now the president of the Archery Federation of Curaçao. I'm sure you know her, Morwenna Mingle Mayer. I don't know if I pronounced it correctly. If not, later you teach me. Morwenna, in addition to being the president of the federation in Curaçao, Morwenna, I'm going to give you this. Maybe you want to run your own presentation. Just a minute. In addition to being the president of the Archery Federation of Curaçao, Morwenna has played a very important role in the area of the Dutch-speaking Caribbean. You know, the part of the Caribbean where Dutch is spoken. And she will tell us now about a visit she paid to the Olympic Committee and other important organizations in Aruba, trying to promote archery there. Okay? Morwenna, ready?
Yes, of course.
Okay, you can go. Yeah. Let me see. Let me help you. I think it's this way. There you are. So this is what you have to press every time you want to change.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, thank you. So, President of World Archery, Mr. Easton, Maria Emma, Sergio, members of the Executive Board, presidents, delegates from every corner of the Americas, a very good morning to you. But I must say this, I have to thank the host, the Mexican Archery Federation, World Archery Mexico, for hosting the assembly as well as the Pan American Archery Championships. Why I'm saying this is because look at the timing that they welcomed us here. Because right now, this very week, this very month, Mexico is also co-hosting the largest sporting event on earth. The whole planet is looking at this country, and yet they have still managed to make room for us, for archery, for our family. So that tells us a lot about the hosting country. So they have asked me to give a summary of my mission in Aruba. But the day before yesterday, something happened to me. And after that day, I could not stand in front of you and read just a summary. Because what I have to tell you is not just a report. It is the beginning of something far greater than all of us here in this room. Curacao, my home, a dot in the Caribbean Sea, a little over 156,000 people. This year, my country qualified for the FIFA World Cup. The smallest nation by population ever to do it. Forgive me for taking you to this journey, but you will understand at the end where I'm coming from and the message that I would like to leave in this room. I was there at this first match. Approximately 6,000 of us had crossed an ocean to be in that stadium in Houston. And we were not just Curacao. We were Aruba. We were Bonaire. 3 islands, 3 flags poured into one stadium, and we became one color, one roar, the blue wave. Across from us to Germany, 4-time world champions, a titan. We lost 7-1, but we do not speak of the 7. We speak of the 1. Curaçao's first goal in the history of World Cup against a nation that has lifted that trophy 4 times, and 6,000 people from 3 islands lost their minds as one. And then, the day before yesterday, in our goal, a man, 37 years old, an underdog, a name the world has no reason to know, 15 saves. 15. He became, in one night, the second most by any goalkeeper in the history of the tournament, 90 minutes, again and again, he refused to give up because he said, "Not today." The match ended against Ecuador, 0-0. And Curaçao earned its first point in the World Cup history. He did not make history because he was the biggest or the strongest or the most expected. He made it because someone gave him the chance to stand on that line. And here is what I felt the day before yesterday. I erased my report, I erased my presentation, and it changed everything for me. And then I looked up, I was like, in the region, this accomplishment, I'm sure that there must be a country or a nation that might have done the same thing. So, Curaçao was not the first. We were the latest in the line. Haiti, in 1974, they scored against a titan back then, Italy, and broke a record the whole soccer, football world believed that could not be broken. The Italian goal had not been beaten in over 1,000 minutes, and yet no one believed a Haitian could. He did it. And my friends, Haiti is back at this World Cup right now after 52 years. Let me look up to Trinidad and Tobago. They've been through this similar experience as Curaçao has. In 2006, the smallest nation back then ever to qualify in their time, they didn't score a single goal in the tournament, and still they walked away with a point, holding mighty Sweden to a draw with then 10 men on the field. And their goalkeeper that day, he was also 37 years old, just like ours, the day before yesterday. Looking up to Jamaica, 1998, the Reggae Boys, what we call them, the first English-speaking Caribbean nation to dance on that stage and win in front of the world. Haiti, Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica, Curaçao. To every single delegate in this room from those nations, you know this feeling. You did not read about it, you lived it, because this is our inheritance. The Caribbean has always punched above its weight. Now, let me take you back before the mission, before any of this, to February 2026, to Aruba. I was on that island for a course not related to archery, and I was on that island for the very first time, yet just a couple of miles away from Curaçao. I was there for the first time. And something else entirely happened. The people of Aruba recognized me, of course, through social media when archery was introduced in Curaçao. But they didn't say, "Congratulations, Curaçao." They said, "We qualified for the World Cup." I stood there, let it sink in, and they also told me, "So are you here to introduce archery in Aruba?" After a moment of silence, I said, "Yes." We, not Curaçao, we. Aruba was already planning to travel to the World Cup, to cheer for a team that on paper was not even theirs, because in their hearts it was. And those same people, when they asked me, am I there to bring a sport to their country? Where am I to say no? So they asked, Aruba asked. The idea was never mine to carry to them. It was theirs to ask of me. And standing there, watching a football turn 3 islands into one heartbeat, and hearing Aruba ask for a sport in their own voice, I thought, if a ball can do that, then what in God's name can our sport do? This was never about adding one more federation to a list. It was about strengthening a family, the archery family in the Americas. So in March, I went back, it wasn't planned, to answer the question Aruba had asked me. But a calling does not get you a meeting with a minister. Something else does that. So before I boarded the plane, I asked Sergio, I need 3 letters to be sent to their Olympic Committee, their sport union, and to the government of Aruba. Maria Emma, I need to say this to you directly. Those letters were not paper, they were doors. And yes, I can speak Spanish. Esas cartas no eran papeles, eran puertas. I did not arrive as a woman with an idea. I arrived, all of a sudden, as the ambassador of World Archery Americas. When Aruba looked at me, they saw all of you standing behind me. We cannot buy that. It can only be given, and you gave it. So, 4 days. We'll start with day 1. The meeting with the Olympic Committee of Aruba. I was not received by a junior officer. On the contrary, I was received by the Secretary General of their committee, of their Olympic Committee, Mrs. Nicole Hooverts, a former Vice President of the International Olympic Committee, with her directors beside her. They did not ask whether archery belonged in Aruba. They asked how to help us bring it. And she placed the pin of the committee on my shirt. Day 2, the Sport Union of Aruba invited archery to debut at their national event this year in September, and then they offered us a piece of their own land, unused for years, to train the very first archers. A home before the federation even existed. Day 3, the meeting with the government of Aruba, the Minister of Sport. The government itself said yes. Schools, support. Let us build the conditions together. 3 institutions, 3 doors, 3 puertas. 4 days, and every door opened. And I know it is real because of what came after. After the handshakes, after the photographs, when the easy thing would have been for everyone to move on, the letters came. The Olympic Committee wrote to walk beside us. The ministry wrote, and not only to me, but the government of Aruba wrote directly to World Archery Americas, a government writing to our confederation about a sport that does not yet officially exist in their country. People are polite in meetings. Politeness is free. But people do not write letters to things they have forgotten. Aruba is not thinking about archery. Aruba has begun building it. So let me tell you what Aruba has. Passion. Oh, they have a mighty Olympic committee, one that Curaçao can also benefit from. The support of its government, sport union, leadership on the ground, and vision. And let me add to that, World Archery Americas, if Aruba joins this confederation, their president, secretary general, and treasurer, they're all women.
Oh.
So we can add to those percentages. So what does Aruba need? Equipment. Because the federation is not yet official. Aruba cannot yet reach many of the development programs that one day will be open to them. She is full of will and waiting for the tools. And this is coming from me from the heart, because we all know the mission of World Archery Americas, to grow more members, more nation on the line. But I want to ask you in this room to change one thing, not just our goal, but the narrative, the story. Because for so long, the narrative have been the same. A new nation must build itself, of course, with support, but actually itself. Earn its way in, prove it can survive alone. But what if this once we wrote it differently? What if we do not ask Aruba to do it alone and build a new archery nation together? Look in the back of your clubs, your storage rooms, bows no longer shot, wherever it is. Every federation has equipment that is sleeping. In Aruba, that same equipment could wake an entire nation. A bow gathering dust in your country could be the first bow an Aruban child ever draws. And it is not only equipment, it is your coaching, your mentorship, your experience. So that experience that some of you spent 30 years earning, that a young federation could stand and from its very, very first day become part of this confederation when they are ready. So until Aruba's federation is official, and we are doing everything in our power to do so, remember the goalkeeper, 37 years of age, from a place no one could find on a map, who made history not because he was the strongest, but because someone gave him the chance to stand on that line. Aruba is asking for nothing more than that chance. So hear me clearly. This is not charity. This is an investment. This is family. So Haiti gave us a goal against the Titan. Trinidad gave us a point with 10 men and 37 years of age in the goal. Jamaica gave us a dance the whole world watched. And Curaçao gave us all the blue wave. And every single one of them did it the hard way, as one small nation alone. Imagine for once what we could give an island that is already asking if we gave it together. 4 days changed the future of archery in Aruba. 4 days, one island that asked, 3 letters, and the belief of one confederation. No one imagined what all of us as one family can do. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Morwenna. Oh my God, this is, it was not just information. Morwenna has touched our hearts. Yeah, I think that was the purpose, right? Good. And what she has told us about is a story that is probably the same story of most of the English-speaking or Dutch-speaking Caribbean countries. I mean, how you started some years ago. Some of your federations are newer. Some others, like Barbados and Trinidad and Tobago, have a longer history. But all of you started from scratch. And what Morwenna is saying now is that this new federation, or this new country, not even a federation yet, this new group of people who would like to do archery needs support. And for the most part, the support that World Archery gives is to those who are already their members, and that's logical. But we are in a situation now regarding Aruba where they need to get some equipment to get started. They don't have a federation yet. Probably the Olympic Committee will recognize a federation only when they have equipment to start. So it is, where do we begin? Is it a federation first? Is it the equipment to start shooting? I think this last idea is what is valid. But I'm sure if I ask now, raise your hands if you are willing, if you are interested, if you believe that you can help Aruba a bit. I'm going to see lots of hands up. So thank you so much, Morwenna, for being our ambassador in Aruba. Maria Emma will be traveling to Peru in August, and she will be meeting for sure Nicole from Aruba, and she has a task maybe to further spur the sport of archery there. Thank you so much. Okay, good. Good. Bueno, now I think we have a break for coffee. So most of you look like you're dozing off, like you believe, oh my God, when are we going to have our coffee? The coffee's back there, so we will resume at 10:40. 10:40 is the time to continue, okay? Thank you, and have your coffee. You're unbelievable.